So, Torsten Arnswald, can you name one lesson or idea from abroad that's helped you or your colleagues?
Well, I certainly do remember the times of the financial crisis right in the aftermath of the collapse of Lehman Brothers, when we in Berlin, but elsewhere also in Brussels, were really struck and concerned about the further goings. And there was a time that we received a very valuable impulse actually coming from the United Kingdom, from the then Prime Minister Gordon Brown, in form of a letter. And he proposed the right measures in terms of recapitalization of banks, of guarantees, and also of finding solutions to deal with the toxic assets in the bank balance sheets and find bank solutions. And that showed that at the right time, cooperation and exchange, and also the possibility to receive impulses from abroad can be very decisive. And that was one of the examples that I well remember.
Thank you. And are there any projects or innovations from your country that might be valuable to your peers overseas?
Well, actually, there is one big item from Germany that is not only now very much discussed, but which, in my opinion, is also very instrumental in explaining one of the underlying strengths of the German economy, which is the dual apprenticeship system, the vocational training system. It really has helped not only to get the young people into the job market and train them on the most eminent technologies relevant to industry and commerce. Germany, as a consequence, has a low youth unemployment. That is something that, in particular in neighboring countries in the Eurozone, remains one of the biggest problems. And we, in our discussions, emphasize that maybe some remodeling of vocational training in other Euro area countries would be rewarding. It does, of course, not need to be exactly the model we've got. There are other countries like the Netherlands, Austria, and Switzerland who also have dual apprenticeship systems, but that's certainly a concept well looking into to find solutions.
Thank you. How can we improve the ways in which senior public officials work with and learn from their friends and colleagues overseas?
Well, we already have a lot of exchanges, and I mean, you're talking about senior civil servants, and before becoming senior, they're certainly junior. I recall that, for example, we've got a good exchange program together with France for junior civil servants, and I would say that once moving up the career ladder and having more responsibilities, often, of course, we are trying to find solutions on certain items within our finance ministries. There is no obstacle of setting up task force and getting involved with other countries on certain items and find solutions together. So maybe having such a task force and joining forces literally would be a way forward, and I would bring that up as an idea.
Thank you. What are the biggest global challenges in your field over the next couple of years?
In the field of finance and fiscal policy,
yes,
the spectrum of challenges remains, of course, wide, and it includes all the known items, for example, demography, globalization, digitization, and that on top of still unresolved issues in the financial sector, unresolved issues in terms of the high public and private debt, and of course also issues in particular concerning the future of the Eurozone, for example. And it's no secret that new topics have come up last year for the further going of the global economy, but also, for example, within Europe, with Brexit. So there are so many challenges ahead that I just named a couple of them.
Thank you. And finally, what's your favourite book?
That's of course one of the most difficult questions, because how have you got a favorite book or a favorite play or a favorite piece of art? I like all of them. But you know, just having been asked this question, what comes to my mind is I've read a book recently, and I personally like very much history in order to understand our lines of development, societal development, cultural development, linguistic developments in Europe in particular. I read a book by Robert Fossier on the life of ordinary people in the Middle Ages, and I find this intriguing. Usually we look in politics and in history from the level of the dynasties and the aristocracies and the decision makers onto what has happened, and that is of course the other perspective, looking on developments from the ordinary people. It's helpful for the past, and of course it's also helpful for the present and the future.
Thank you very much.